Oakley Dokley, round two. Opponents kept at 7 on the play. I'm really tempted to be greedy here. I have 9 green sources in the deck. I have a morph, and I'm probably going to be able to draw a card. So I'm going to go ahead and keep. This is something I tend to do in this format. I don't know if it's correct or not. Oh, another white opponent, which means another potentially aggressive opponent. Love having this Wind Scout as another option for a turn 3 play. Is this another warrior deck? It's certainly another aggressive E deck. Green is insane. Love it. So that we can play our Heir of the Wild right on cue. I'll just trade off, stay alive. Even though this guy can block a bunch of other things, the Bondkin gets out of hand. And playing against black-white, I just want to trade off and block all day, so there's less options later on. Opponent has a Grizzly. You stole my Grizzlies, didn't you? Alright, well, my opponent doesn't want to make the trade, which means I'm cool with that. What am I playing? Do I want one of my morphs down? Or my Wind Scout? I kind of want to start beating down. I assume the Heir is going to block the Alpine Grizzly next turn? Yeah, I want the Wind Scout down. No attacks. Conceivably, I could do a Savage Punch and a Temur Charger next turn if I draw a Mountain, though I don't anticipate that actually happening. I'm going to go ahead and block the Grizzly to preserve my life total, even though more things can block it eventually. I can Savage Punch the Anok Bondkin before it gets out of hand, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, just do the trades. Is this a boon? Do you have a Dragon Scale boon? Death Touch still exists. If it's a +3/+3 trample, I mean, that's a lot of damage, but I don't care. Oh, First Strike? Oh, I forgot, because of course, yeah. There you go. Being able to do the Abzan chart, which +1/+1 on both. But by the way, I should have noticed Dragon Scale boon. Because of this, I'm silly. Of course, it's the Anthem. All of them get that. So that's a bummer. Well, it tilted 1 for 1. Took 3 damage. So, my Jeskai Wind Scout is not blocking. I'm going to take 8 damage next turn? I don't know if I can afford that. So, if I can't afford to take 8 damage, do I play my Dragon Scale boon to make a... what is it? 3... it'll have 4 toughness to block the Bondkin? I don't love it, but my alternative is to, like, Crippling Chill or, like, just play a 3/3 that can't block. Yeah, I'm going to have to go for this possible Dragon Scale boon play, which is a super... high stakes play with my opponent having a bunch of land. Like playing a 5th land means Throttle's online. There's a lot that can go wrong here. Luckily there's no 5th land. I'm gonna go for it. See what happens. It does resolve. This is such a bad play. There's a lot of cards that my opponent can have here, but I'm just assuming my opponent's used the one... there's just not as many combat tricks that could happen, so I'm assuming my opponent has used it already. But, I mean, Feeder Resistance, the Savage Surge... no, it's not the Surge, but the +3/+3 Trample would have gotten me. There's a lot that could have gone wrong there. Opponent did have a 5th land. I don't know if I would have blocked. Probably would have. Right, opponent's dumping hand, down to 1 cards. I do have a nice big old 4/3 now to start blocking. This guy now has First Strike again. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we Savage Punch here, right? And do a huge hit. If I do a Savage Punch, my Jeskai Wind Scout becomes a 5/4, becomes a 7/6. It takes out the Alpine Grizzly. and gets to stay back and do some more blocking. The bummer is I can't play the punch and something else, but such is life. Hold on, let's make sure this math is right. 5-4 plus 2 plus 2. Yes. So it does kill the Alpine Grizzly. Just want to make sure that is the case. I would love to do 7 damage right now. If this is the 4-4, I take 6 damage and my opponent gains a bunch of life. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to block with the Wind Scout. Could be wrong. But next turn I'll be able to put some more dudes down to start blocking. So if we start evening up this race, things are good. My opponent's out of gas. It's not the 4-4, so that's really good. Because now we're on even footing. Alright, so we're going to play a Teamer Charger plus a Morph face down, just to put our defenses up. And then we'll be able to do like Crippling Chill and shenanigans later. Just going to do a normal cast. Could keep the Crippling Chill available. I just want to offer some trades here. See if that protects my Wind Scout. So I think my opponent just had nothing in hand. I'm curious as to what this morph is, since my opponent did not unmorph. It can't be the 4-4 life gainer. If that's the case, maybe it's the Death Toucher, which I don't mind trading my morph for. If it's the Sage Eye Harrier, I assume my opponent would be blocking. So I don't feel like it's that. It could be the 5-3. I want to block with the Teamer Charger, but if my opponent is playing weird with like a Sage Eye Hair, that would definitely be a bummer. But I can unflip this morph next turn if I want to, like have Crippling Chill available, and then go there. So I'm putting my opponent off of Sage Eye Harrier or the Abzan Guide, based on my opponent having nothing last turn and not flipping it. But maybe opponents really want to get 2 for 1, I don't know. But, alright, so Feeder Resistance is played. So I get a Feeder Resistance out of my opponent's hand with the Teamer Charger, which that's actually okay with by me. Archer's Parapet, I think I'll play for nice defense, plus to be able to have Crippling Chill available. Though I'm going to use it defensively, because it doesn't increase my clock at all. Cool. We'll keep double blue up, just for, what you call it, cancel representations. So what is this morph? I have no clue. Interesting. Is my opponent going to attack? They have vigilance. I'm just going to block. So my opponent wants to do something silly. That's fine. What else is there? Debilitating injury, killing the parapet. That's okay. For 2 green? What is there? Nothing. I'm just gonna Crippling Chill now. Because my Wind Scout's lethal. So I don't need that Prowess plus. Bunch of lands, but we can play the Glacial Stalker for our backup. Alright. I might not have had to have shown my opponent the Crippling Chill. What was this, by the way? Kintree Warden. Alright, that makes sense why my opponent was keeping it as a 2-2. It was just doing more that way with the regen. So it looks like my opponent kind of wants to go late with these Bondkins and a solid 3 colors. Interesting that this card's in the deck, but it's really nice with a bunch of the Outlast dudes. So maybe there's more Outlast going on. I don't know. It looks like Flyers are going to be a great route to victory. You need to be careful as Charm, though. Boom. It's going to get me with all my Power 3 or greater dudes. I don't want to bring out my Naturalize, even though I saw 2 enchantments. Debilitating Injury will pretty much always be played in killing one of my guys. Could play the Sandbar for more early action against the First Strikers. But again, with so many Morph guys, I think I'm okay with it. Don't want to play Stubborn Denial because my opponent's non-creature spells are lower casting cost. So it's going to be easier to counter. Or to pay the extra one, and it's only working if Ferocious is online. Though I could play it. Whirlwind Adept's going to be really bad against my opponent, so I probably just want to get rid of that anyway, because by the time it gets to 5 mana, it's going to be pretty outclassed on the ground. And I'm going to have plenty of things, you know, bigger stuff anyway at that point. I'm tempted. I am quite tempted. Yeah. Because of all the first strike possibilities, I just feel like that's a good way to deal with Whirlwind Adept easily. So I will play the Stubborn Denial. May not be that great, but still, I can get something early if I leave one up. Or I will eventually be able to have Ferocious online. It will just be a straight counter spell, so... Don't love it, but those are my 20-second cards. The rest of the deck I do enjoy quite a bit, of course. Alright, well we got a keeper here. Little low power, but we have our colors and we have things to do. Our opponent is playing first. Keeps at 7 as well. Let's rock out. Ooh, that's a nice draw. We'll get a 2-drop down. Play our Stalker down. And then we'll have our Dragon Scale boon up. Could have just played the Teamer Charger. I would have done that if I was on the play, but I'm not. Am I the aggressor here? That's a great question. I think so, since I do have the first card out, and I want to be fairly aggressive. I'll offer a trade. And again, I want to be making trades if my opponent's black-white, even though we saw more Abzani black-white than like just black-white warriors still. Could be right to play the Parapet now, but I'm going to be able to play the Parapet and the Charger next turn, so we'll just go ahead and play our Morph. See if Debilitating Injury takes out my Glacial Stalker, which would be sad, but such is the life. Yep, there it goes. That's what happens. We get hit for 2 ourselves. And a Wind Scout, which I love. I'm going to play it next turn, because I really want to just maximize my mana. I'll attack with my Highland Games, keeping up my Dragon Scale boon, just in case. But that was unneeded. Two, three, four. Not bad. Not bad at all. Alright. My opponent plays 5th land, Do I block Parapet to the Morph? Normally, yes, but in these colors, Krumar Bonkin, the 5/3, would be such a bummer. Seems to not be an issue, though, in this combat step. Looks like my opponent might just be holding back now. And this is where our Wind Scout's going to be great. I'm definitely down to block with my Parapet still. Oh, I see. Okay. Understandable, indeed. Trying to get that race online, especially by gaining 2 life. Do I need... So we'll attack in with both of our guys. My opponent wants to block or trade, fine. We'll play the Wind Scout. We can't leave up Wind Scout and Dragon Scale Boon, but yeah, we're just going to try to get this race online. Opponent's off of green, which is helpful. Right, trading morphs. Which one is it? Ooh, Ruthless Ripper. I lose 2 life. That's bad for the race. I do get to gain 2 life at some point. Just double checking that there's no reason to play the island here. Yeah, there's no reason. So we'll just gain our life. Play our Wind Scout. I will not offer a trade with my Wind Scout to the Watcher of the Roost at the moment, because I think I'm going to be able to win this race, but I'm a little worried. My opponent is mana screwed, and as soon as those lands start flowing, I mean, I'm out of gas now. Yeah, see, now my opponent gains a life. Not as big of a deal, but more importantly, has 5th mana and 3rd color online. Here comes another morph. Dragon Scale Boon can do a lot of work here. I'm going to save it to try to get my opponent in one way or another, but for now, I'm just going to attack in with everything. Parapet will be my blocker. I'm just going to try to do 4 a turn. And use the Dragon Scale Boon when it allows me to get a 2-for-1. Opponent didn't attack or block. That's probably just because of the Parapet, though. Continue to draw lands. I'm going to continue to attack. Opponent hasn't shown anything super scary by getting 3rd color and more mana out. Down to 3 cards now. Gosh, I love the Parapet. This guy's making it much easier to be racing right now. Okay, opponent's going to go for the trades, which I'm happy with. If my opponent flips and does something, I might be able to Dragon Scale Boon to keep it alive. You have the Archer. Yeah, we're going to Dragon Scale Boon. Kind of have to. Oops. Oh, I also get another point of damage in. That's really great. I should have kept Island up, by the way. Oh, I did the math wrong. I thought I was going to kill the Archer. I'm stupid. I might have just let the Highland game die at that point. I wanted to kill the Archer because of reach, but that didn't happen. Which means I should have let the Highland die and then use my boon on my Jeskai Wind Scout for later. Probably now I will have to offer a trade with the Watcher because of that mistake, and have this standstill while my opponent has 4 cards and I have nothing. So that's really annoying. But totally my fault. Totes my fault. Removal spell on the Wind Scout? No, just a gigantic Watcher. Alright. Pressure is on. I foresee an Enoch Bondkin making an appearance in a turn or two, keeping me away from ever being able to deal with the Watcher now. Can't block it yet. Dead in 2 turns. Opponent has 3 cards in hand. Snowhorn Rider is nice. It's a big old boy. This guy can just chump. We'll just go ahead and hard cast it. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I don't think I'm going to chump yet, even though there are spells that my opponent can have lethal with. I'm more likely to be able to deal with the Watcher of the Roost by being able to cast like a Force Away or a Crippling Chill and have the Jeskai Wind Scout block it. Interesting. I think I would have saved that Utter End, because the 5/5 Trampler wasn't really mattering a whole lot. I guess I would attack it with a lot. But I think I would have saved it. That may opponent has a whole other removal spell, so it doesn't even matter. Like the Abzan Charm, that could easily be the case. Longshot Squad. And we draw lands. Alright. Close to no hope now. I guess if I get one of my Savage Punches, I can at least kill the Watcher with my Highland Games. But then I'm still facing 2 lethal creatures. My opponent will have to whiff for a while. Doubt that's going to happen. If another lethal creature comes down, which is pretty easy at 2 life, and my opponent's tapping mana. Ooh, a Tusk Colossadon. Now that's an interesting play. Ooh, Savage Punch. Alright. Kill the Watcher. Maybe my opponent doesn't attack. That's really all I can do. Feeder resistance? Yep. I gain 2 life. Oh wait, it doesn't resolve, so they don't fight. Never mind, I don't gain 2 life. I mean, I'm dead here, but let's see what my opponent does. Conceding. So if I hadn't made that math error, and the Highland game died, and the Archer was still alive, but then I could have used my Dragon Scale Boon to pump up my Wind Scout, I definitely would have had more of a chance of keeping this game going. Don't know if it would exactly worked out, but I think that would have been way better. Do I still like the Stubborn Denial? Yeah. Because again, I don't really want Whirlwind Adept. It just trades too easy with what my opponent has. So I'm going to keep it the same way. And see if we get a nice draw. And not have to mulligan. I definitely want to play first. It's a decent draw. A little too many lands, but a 2-drop, 3-drop Savage Punch, yeah, we're keeping. Don't have our red manas. No red manas. Is my opponent mulliganing? Yes, my opponent mulligans. But doesn't go down to 5. In sportsmanship, I should be happy, but I would have loved for my opponent to go down to 5. Hee hee. Don't tell anyone. Alright, I don't want any non-red lands. I got plenty of lands this game. Let's get the beats on. Enoch? Enoch! What up, Enoch? Are we in a race situation? I don't know. I'm going to attack. At this point, I think I am trying to end the game quicker. Does my opponent agree? I guess. Ooh, Absenchar manas. Just activating. Okay, so that allows us to kind of get a race on. And again, Savage Punch should ideally get us there at some point. So I think we'll just play the Falls and then play our Morph down. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Does the Glacial Stalker stay alive? Next turn we can unmorph it, and then if that happens, and it still sticks around, then we have a nice Savage Punch to clear something out of the way. Anok Bondkin on defense now? And a morph. Okay. Hopefully this Wind Scout gets us there. Ooh, hello. Alright, so they're going to be trading, which is not great, but at least both the flyers are gone, because I will be able to unmorph end of turn and then Savage Punch. Opponent has a bunch of cards in hand. I have one card in hand. My opponent thinks I have three. Alright, so we saw the Abzan Charm, which will kill my Morph. Debilitating Injury would make my... Ooh, that's a good card. Who do I kill with my Savage Punch next turn? Technically the Falconer is a better card. Parapet's nice. So yeah, we're going to kill the Falconer, Savage Punching with our Highland Games, attacking with both, and then playing the Archer's Parapet. If Feat of Resistance happens, though, which my opponent does possibly have represented here, and protects the Falconer, this becomes a 3-4. I still get attacked with the Glacial Stalker, so at least there's that attack. And it just means I don't attack with Highland Game. But because of that, if there's a Feat of Resistance, then I actually do want to use the Savage Punch to use the Stalker on the Falconer, so that I can at least attack in for 6. So I'm changing up what I was going to do. Feat of Resistance. Oh wait, but Savage Punch won't resolve, so it still want to be 6, so never mind. But I still like my train of thought, assuming the card did what I thought it would. Doing 8 here is fantastic, especially thanks to our follow-up play. Ugh. But we're just, my opponent's not at low enough life to where I feel comfortable being top deck mode. Opponent just wants to get big enough to get the Stalker around is cool. The Boon would be dangerous here. Longshot Squad I like, so that I can still attack in with my 4-5. Put my opponent down to 4. Snowhorn Rider, a little bit awkward, so I don't have red yet, but at least I can cast it untapped, or yeah, face down, morphed. So should we get red mana at some point, it'll be easy to untap. And we'll have 2 lethal creatures. My opponent can't afford to outlast anything. Force Away is great. So I think we just go for a Force Away against the Enoch Bonkin. Reset it. See what happens. Feeder resistance? Yep. What a bummer. We got it out of my opponent's hand, so that's nice, but still just kind of stuck without anything to do because I can't attack past this Enoch Bonkin. I think it was right to go for it there. My opponent must have drawn it, because I think my opponent would have used the feat earlier to save the Abzan Falconer. We're both just in staring mode. Does Trample do anything? It might later, but I don't have a green card, so I'd rather just cast this guy out since I'm not attacking right now. Just to have more threats out, because next turn I could sacrifice the Stalker to get my opponent lethal, but that I would only do if my opponent was like tapped out. Because I guess it would be like a trade. I mean, my opponent would put the Bond, would eat the Glacial Stalker. I can't imagine it would eat the Morph. But what can my opponent have here? Ooh, having a Mystic backup is really nice. So I'm going to attack with everything, which is lethal. And then if my opponent has a card that like eats a couple dudes and I'm still low key, like I have the Mystic of the Hidden Way as a nice unblockable. So I want my opponent to use the resources that are here to try to deal with this so that my opponent won't have resources to deal with another lethal attacker. If the long shot squad goes for the morph, I assume my opponent has an Abzan Charm to exile. Yeah, it's probably an Abzan Charm, which is actually okay. Like I said, it's not great. My opponent goes down to 1, and then I have an unblockable dude. Maybe that's not the case. Opponent has something, otherwise there'd be a concession here. So what is it? Utter End. Okay, so there goes my morph. These guys trade, though. That's great. Opponent's down to 2. I have 2 lethal dudes. Ugh. Anything fantastic my opponent drew? Scout the Borders is pretty good. Gets to dig for a lot and still have 5 mana up. Has a Tusk Colossedon. That's not going to do it, especially since double green was cast, or was used. I'm feeling like we have it here. I'm definitely going for it, with the Mystic, and only the Mystic, of course. Is that it? Yep. We're there. Sweet. On to the finals. Got there. Yahoo!